Are you trying to change to an unrelated career? Basically changing your career to something where you have no experience? Or are you feeling uninspired at your current job or industry and looking for job hunting secrets and job search strategies that can help you find the method to decide the right career in an unrelated field? Well, the good news is that you aren't alone. A recent survey by Workplace Intelligence estimated that a whopping 75% of people feel trapped professionally and are unable to escape the vicious cycle of being stuck in a job that they don't love. Sadly, most people tend to use the same approach as everyone else to changing jobs, which is basically shortlisting job postings in your area of skill or your current industry, filtering for locations and salary, and then comparing based on job descriptions, reviews, and what your friends and peers say. If you do the same thing as everyone else, then isn't it inevitable that you will keep falling into the same trap as all of the others? As Einstein said, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is insanity. On top of this, the added complication that many people face is that they work in one industry and have gained some experience in it, but dream of working in something completely different that they love and believe will make work seem like play and get them jumping out of bed every morning. Maybe you are a lawyer dreaming of becoming an advertiser, or you're a software developer dreaming of becoming an investor, or a private equity analyst dreaming of joining the government to make real impact. But sadly, most of us don't even give it a shot because we feel we will be successful in getting a job only where our skill and experience lie, and hence we default to applying in the same industry or field of work that we're already in. This is something I like to call the comfort zone trap, and it leads to millions of people across the globe stuck in a vicious cycle of dissatisfaction and unhappiness where their first job, which may not even have been well thought through, triggers a self-fulfilling prophecy, trapping them in a function or an industry or a role that they suffer through their entire career. But what if I told you there exists a bit of magic that can help you escape this trap? This bit of magic is called a bridge, a practical, sensible path from where you are to where you want to go. So today, let's spend the next few minutes discussing what is a bridge, what are some good examples of bridges that people have taken, and how to find your bridge to your dream career and a way to a lifetime of satisfaction and success. Hi guys, my name is Akshay Goenka, and the team on this channel has been finding, crafting and crossing career bridges from uninspiring jobs to exciting roles at the most prestigious companies in the world. But we never had a channel like this to help us and to make sure that you do. We've documented all of the secrets we found to success and happiness in your career. So if you hit the subscribe button on this channel below, we can begin this journey towards a happy and successful you together. Right, so back to it. First, what is a bridge? It's very simply a path between two roles that don't seem to be connected at first glance. Let's take a fictional example. Say you are practicing as an architect and dreaming of a very different industry and role, say building tech products at a startup. At first glance, you can't seem to fathom why on earth a startup recruiter would hire an architect in a product role. Most wouldn't even bother applying when they read the job descriptions, and they will default to looking for stuff in the architecture space. Now, let me show you this real LinkedIn profile of someone who started as a hardcore architect with a bachelor's degree in architecture and working on site with a well-known architecture firm, but then moved roles to become a product manager at WeWork. And they did it by being undeterred and finding the right bridge. In this case, they realized that whilst they don't have product or startup experience, they do understand one thing: real estate and construction. So they found a startup in the real estate space and a role where the skill was valued. And now that they have startup experience, they can potentially make another move to a product role, even if it's outside the real estate construction space. This is just one of many examples. And if you spend a bit of time on LinkedIn today, you'll realize that there are people in your network that have found similar bridges. In my experience, these bridges are of three kinds: direct, indirect, and constructed. First, direct bridges are like the one we just discussed. You have something relevant in your experience or your skill set that can be used as a bridge. In the example we took just now, it was expertise in the industry of real estate and construction that connected an architect with a product management role at a startup. For someone else, it might be the management background in the form of an MBA degree or experience leading a team that gets you a managerial role in a different industry, or even a part-time degree or course that you did in the target field. The key is to find the common link between the two things, where you are and where you want to go, and then begin on the journey. Second, indirect bridges are the ones where you can't find a direct bridge to your dream role, so you have to break it down into a two-step process and take an interim role for a while. Let's take another example here. Say now you're a lawyer who wants to be a product manager at a startup. You've spent most of your time helping corporates drive the legal processes of expanding presence into new countries. It's hard for you to credibly build a direct one-step bridge to a startup product manager role in one shot. This is where you need to look for an indirect bridge. Namely, let's first get you into the startup world, and then you can leverage that experience to move into a product role. Once you break it down into these two steps, the bridge suddenly starts to appear. First, why don't you find a startup that's looking for international expansion or a legal advisory role and apply there? Once you get in, focus on building relationships with and working closely with product management teams, and maybe even invest in completing a part-time course in design, development, product management to further boost your profile for your next move as a product manager. Combining both, within a year or maybe even less, you'll soon be able to find the second part of your bridge to the dream product role. By the way, this indirect bridge concept goes way beyond jobs. For moving cities or countries, for example, if you want to move to New York and are unable to make headway with the right role, it's fine to move to another city in the US for a while, especially with a company that has presence in New York. And once you're there and much more local, you can either find an internal transfer to New York or keep looking for other roles. Third, coming back to jobs, where we cannot even find an indirect bridge, one must be constructed. If your education and experience is in software development or a practicing lawyer arguing cases in civil court and want to do something completely different, say marketing, finding a bridge could be a little bit difficult. Typically, most marketers would come with some management or business background which you don't have. So to create the bridge, we must add that to our backgrounds. For example, applying for and enrolling in a full-time or a part-time MBA or an executive MBA could help both add the relevant education experience you need, but also help you build the right network and leverage your university's placement and career cell to apply for the right role. Especially if you have a few years of experience under your belt in your current field of work or industry, I know that this can feel scary and risky. And the biggest thing that holds us back from making these choices, not settling and investing in what we truly want, is the fear of failure. You need to make sure not to give in to your fears. What fear, you say? It's not that I'm afraid. I know that this is never going to work. Or who do you know who goes back to university after working for 5 years? Or this is my path and I must accept it and stop dreaming of what's unrealistic. All of these things are common to think of. But the truth is that these are all ways for us to not confront what lies beneath the surface. Fear of failure, the prospect of starting at the bottom again despite having so much experience in your current career, the long uphill climb that we see ahead of us every time we think of this topic. When I first started to explore other paths, I felt all the same things, but never acknowledged them and kept putting it off with different explanations every time. Accepting the fact that anything new will feel scary and that's okay helped me move forward. So if you need to construct a bridge, take the first step and we're going to be rooting for you from the sidelines. And by the way, there are many ways to de-risk this. If you're unable to quit your job and study, there could be many part-time options to gain the same degree. You also need to realize that you don't need to have only one career. In fact, most successful people have multiple careers, which helps them diversify and de-risk their career moves. And I have a full video on this topic that I'll leave a link to up here and down below in the description in case you're interested. So there you have it. In a few minutes, you've gone from accepting your fate of being trapped in this vicious cycle of lack of inspiration, thinking about how to find a bridge to your dream job. This comfort zone trap is just one of many that we tend to fall into when changing careers, and I've detailed 4 other traps that once you realize you are going to fall into will help you unlock and find what you truly want in life and build a life of success and happiness. I'll leave a link to that video up here and down below. By the way, one of the most common traps apart from this, which we sometimes don't realize or refuse to accept even when pointed out to us, is what I call the subconscious imitation trap, where the conditioning of our brains makes us unknowingly follow paths laid by others and not ourselves. Click the link below or up here to watch my video on that trap next, to help you make sure you find a path that is truly yours. And do take a minute to subscribe before you go, so that together we can build your journey to a successful and happy career. See you on the next video.